All right, we are live.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. The hour of 7 o'clock having arrived on this Tuesday, the 16th of March, 2021, I will now call to order the City of Racine Common Council. Our apologies to those watching at home on Facebook Live or otherwise for the late start. We had an executive committee that ran long before this, so our apologies for the tardiness or any inconvenience that may cause, but these will all be stored on the city's website or on Facebook's our Facebook page as well. So if people want to come back and see them, you are welcome to do that anytime. We'll now call this meeting to order. The first item before us is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please join me in standing and facing the east and joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you very much for that. Alder Tate, is there, I believe that there are, but do you have any requests for excused absences?
I've received no requests.
Okay, and it appears that we have unanimous attendance here, so I just make sure that the clerk reflects that in the minutes. And then the first item before us is the approval of the committee proceedings from March the 2nd, 2021. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion to approve those items from Alder Tate, a second from Alder Coe. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. My apologies. I am realizing to remind everyone, you will need to mute and unmute yourself when we vote. Please remute yourself after you voted and after you're done speaking to try to avoid the feedback that may occur. Okay, so moving on then to committee reports. The first item under committee reports is the Finance and Personnel Committee. We'll go to Alder Taft, the chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee, and ask if she has any items for separate consideration.
Thank you. I have received no such requests.
Okay, please proceed with your report.
Okay. Item 111-21, communications sponsored by Alder Land and Alder Levy on behalf of the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services, submitting the matter of an extension of the Racine Zoological Society Gardens operation agreement for consideration. Recommendation is that the mayor and city clerk are authorized and directed to execute the one-year extension. Fiscal note, the city's zoo subsidy of $510,000 in the account as listed was approved in the 2021 budget. Item 136-21, communication sponsored by Alder Lemke on behalf of the Public Health Director, requesting to accept funding from the State of Wisconsin Department of Health Services for local public health departments consolidated programs. Recommendation is that the mayor and city clerk be authorized and directed to execute funds accordingly. Fiscal note, entering into agreement to accept funding for the following accounts: $97,175 Well Woman Coordination Grant. Let's see, $5,538 for Wisconsin Well Woman Screening. Let's see, $22,700 for Infant Mortality Racine Healthy Babies Grant. $6,100 for Communicable Disease and Control Prevention. $20,000 for Wisconsin Coastal Management Program, and $24,142 for childhood lead remediation. $31,815 for immunization. $31,746 for maternal child health care. $375,900 for the ELC COVID-19 grant. $10,956 for preventative health services grant. $24,983 for the PHEP CRI Cities Readiness Initiative, and $10,000 for the HIV program, HIV CTR testing kits. So next item is item 165-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason and Alder Taft, requesting the city apply for Wisconsin Department of Health Services COVID-19 vaccination community outreach grant. Recommendation is to approve. The fiscal note, the grant is up to $100,000 and requires no city match. Next item is item 179-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the fire department requesting permission to apply for the 2020 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant. As listed, recommendation is to approve. Fiscal note, this grant is for $600,000 with the city's hard match of $10,000. Funding is available in the accounts as listed in the 2021 Capital Improvement Program. Item 180-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the fire department requesting permission to waive formal bidding for firefighting protective equipment and award the bids to W.S. Darley Company for structural firefighting protective equipment. Fiscal note, contract bid for $166,309.50. It covers from July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2023. Funding is available and allocated annually in the accounts as listed, and there are sufficient funds available. This concludes my report.
Okay, without objection, these items will be placed on the consent agenda. We will now move on to the Public Works and Services Committee report by Alder Jones. Alder Jones, do you have any items for separate consideration? Alder Jones? Alder Jones, are you there?
My apology, I forgot to unmute myself.
Oh,
I
all
have
right.
no items for separate consideration.
Please
Our
proceed
first
with your
item-
report, then.
Thank you. Our first item is 0153-21, communication sponsored by Alder Tate II on behalf of the Racine Fire Department, requesting to change parking restriction in the 1700 block of Packard Avenue. Recommendations that the request to install parking restrictions in the 1700 block of Packard Avenue be granted as attached. Fiscal note, the estimated cost of the signage will result in an installation cost of $300 and an annual maintenance cost of $80. Excuse me. The next item is 0154-21, communication sponsored by Alder Perez on behalf of the Racine Police Department, requesting installation of parking restriction in the 4100 and 4200 block of Graceland Boulevard. Recommendation, this restriction is recommended by the Racine Police Department to restrict overnight stopping, standing, excuse me, or parking in the area. Excuse me.
It's okay.
The restriction is recommended by Racine Police Department to restrict overnight stopping, standing, or parking in an area of concern by the residents and the alders of the district. Details attached.
Alder Jones, would you like somebody else to continue with the report? Are you okay?
Would you ask Mrs. excuse me, Alder Land if she will finish it?
I will do that. Alder Land, would you mind continuing with the Public Works and Services report?
Yes, I will. I just gotta get over to the agenda real quick.
Sure.
What item number are we on then when I get there?
I believe we need to go to item 0155-21.
That is correct. Thank you.
Yes, so if you could begin there. 0155-21 should be at the bottom of page 4.
All right, I got it. All right, item 0155-21, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of Public Works to submit final payments for contract 202-0004, city resurfacing. Also city resurfacing 202-000005 and contract 202-0050 roof replacement. Recommendation that the work completed by Payne and Dolan be accepted and the final payment authorized for the total contract of $987,879.80. Final payment to include retainage. The work completed by Payne and Dolan on the 2020 city resurfacing south side be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract of $1,089,280.58, final payment to include retainage. That the work completed by Hernandez Roofing LLC roof replacement on Heritage Museum be accepted with the final payment authorized for a total contract of $150,912.10. Final payment to include retainage. Fiscal note, this contract was authorized under resolution 0206-20 dated April 20, 2020. Change order was previously approved in this meeting for the amount of $111,250.45. Then contract 202 with the 0005 was authorized under resolution number 0234-20 dated meeting for the deduct amount of $30,635.60. Contract 2000050 was authorized under resolution 0432-20 dated July 21st of 2020. The change order number 1 was authorized under resolution 0860-20 on December 15th of 2020 for $4,292.10. Racine County is responsible to cover 50% of this project cost, so we'll be responsible to cover $75,006.05. Item number 0156-21, communication sponsored by Alder contract 2020005, 2020 city resurfacing south side, Payne and Dolan contractor. The recommendation was that the change order be approved in the deduct amount of $30,635.60. Funding for this change order is credited in the following $20,838.43 from sanitary sewers, $33,892.42 from storm sewers, $114.67 from traffic signal replacement, $39,017.98 from sidewalk replacement, $41 crosswalk ramps, $63,305.47 for asphalt resurfacing. Item 0157-21, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer, submitting change order number 1 to contract 2020004, 2020 city resurfacing north side Payne and Dolan contractor. The recommendation was that the change order to the contract of Payne and Dolan be approved in the amount of $111,250.45. Funding for this change order is available in the following objects. $3,548 for sanitary sewers, $154,881 for storm sewers, $7,116 for sidewalk replacement, $11,433 for crosswalk ramps, $65,730 for asphalt resurfacing. Item 0174-21, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Commissioner of Public Works, submitting a proposal for an audit agreement prepared by We Energies for state project ID 2020-60-0870 on the amount of $14,011.93, reconstruction of State Highway 11 from Kearney Avenue to South Memorial Drive. The recommendation is that the Commissioner of Public Works be authorized and directed to sign this audit agreement with We Energies. Funding is available in org object 450-40575004003, Durand Avenue, Kearney to State Highway 32. Item 0175-21, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Commissioner of Public Works, submitting amendment number 6 to state project ID 2703-00-02 West Sixth Street Bridge. The recommendations was that the amendment to the state project West Sixth Street Bridge be approved. Fiscal note amendment 6 is not to exceed the amount of $48,452.09, with the city share being $9,690, 20%, and the state share being $38,761, 80%. Funding to defray the cost of the amendment be appropriated from ORGOP 45040-57545 West Sixth Street Bridge. Item 0176-21, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works wishing to amend Resolution 0056-21 dated 2/2/2021. The recommendation was that the resolution be amended to reflect 1510 Junction Avenue as the appropriate address for the property making the encroachment request. Further recommends that the resolution be amended to reflect 222 Fifth Street as the appropriate address for the property making the encroachment request. Fiscal note, there is no cost to the city of Racine. That's the end of the report.
Without objection, these items will be placed on the consent agenda. Alder Jones, are you okay?
I am. It's one of those side effects from having COVID. I start to cough every once in a while, and it takes a while before it calms down.
Okay, I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next report is the Public Services and Licensing Committee report. Alder Coe, is this an item for separate consideration? Alder Coe, you're still muted. And Alder Land, you're still unmuted.
Nope.
Okay, please proceed with your report.
Item 0117-21, communications submitting an application for a Class B retail fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for Taste of Soul Bar and Grill, doing business as Taste of Soul, located at 501 6th Street. Rebecca McCray, Agent, First District. Recommendation of the committee was to approve. And that's the end of my report.
Without objection, this item will be placed on the consent agenda. The final committee report tonight is the CDBG Advisory Board report. Alder Tate II, do you have any items for separate consideration?
I've received no such requests.
Please proceed with your report, sir.
All righty, let's see here. Item 018158-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason, requesting the city accept the offer of Danielle Friedrich to purchase 1101 Grand Avenue. Recommendation is that the offer be accepted. For the purchase, the city will receive $156,000 in CDBG home program income minus commissions and closing costs. Item 0159-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason, requesting to accept the offer of Monique Brooks to purchase 1521 Packard Avenue. Welcome to the 3rd District, Monique. The recommendation is to accept the offer and that the mayor be approved as presented, and the mayor and city clerk and director of city development are authorized to execute any documents necessary to complete the sale. Fiscal note, the city will receive $125,000 in home program income minus commissions and closing costs. Happy to have those two new homeowners in the city of Racine. Item 1600-160-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason, directing the City Development Department to submit an application for CDBG CV funds for a total amount of $471,171 to the State of Wisconsin Department of Administration, grant control number 003442. The recommendation is that the request be approved and the Director of City Development or their designee be authorized to submit the application on behalf of the city. Fiscal note, a total of $471,171 in CDBG CV funds. The CV stands for COVID. Funds are available for the city of Racine and no local match is required. And that concludes the community development group committee report, the Block Grant Advisory Committee report, excuse me.
And then without objection, those items will be placed on the consent agenda. Okay, and so then we will move on to the consent agenda. Alder Tate, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Delighted to move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion to approve the consent agenda and a second. If everyone could please all unmute themselves very briefly. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 And those opposed? That motion carries. We now move on to common council announcements. Announcements are limited to recognition of city residents and employees, memorials, and non-political community events. Discussion of matters related to government business is prohibited. With that, are there any announcements that people would like to make today? Molly Jones has an announcement.
I do not have an announcement as such, but I would just like to thank Alder Lance for finishing up the report for me. I certainly do appreciate it.
Excellent.
Anytime, Madam
Thank-
Chair.
Thank you, Alder Land, for doing that. I really appreciate it as well. Alder Tate, the second, you had an announcement.
Perhaps I'll leave the other one for Alder West, but I do want to congratulate the Prairie School, my alma mater, for finishing as runner-up in the state high school basketball tournament for boys. Tough loss, at the last second, but certainly proud of my high school and those youth going out there and competing and, making the area proud, although Prairie is in Wind Point, not in the city of Racine,
Alder West, did you have an announcement?
Oh, yes. On that note, I would like to congratulate the St. Catherine's boys basketball team for winning state championship this year. Congratulations, young men, and wish you all luck in the future. Thank you.
Alder Coe, if you could mute yourself, please.
being called to work.
Any other announcements that people would like to make? Okay, I just want to, oh, go ahead, Alder Tate.
Maybe we're about to say the same thing. I just want to give a kudos to the health department team
Yes.
for all the efforts to continue coordinating testing, getting vaccines distributed and organized, and building the infrastructure so that when we have the resources provided to the city, that we'll be able to vaccinate many people as quickly as possible so that we can really return to some degree of normalcy. And we're almost there. So just want to encourage folks to continue to holding on, continue taking the precautions, don't let up now. We're almost at the point where we actually can get back to doing things how we used to, as long as we don't, it's like taking off a parachute when we've almost landed on the ground, but we're still 100 feet in the air. Keep the parachute on. We're going to land safely.
Well said, Alder Tate. I just wanted to echo that. Our public health department has done heroic work in the last year. I just wanted to reflect on where we are. We are now a year into this. I remember issuing an order about a year ago for 6 weeks, thinking that was an aggressive timeline to get through the pandemic, because surely it was going to go away within a reasonable amount of time. Here we are a year later. I was reminded by a couple of things. It was just before the father-daughter dance at Fine Arts School that got canceled, and we're a year later and another father-daughter dance got canceled. We won't do St. Patrick's Day's parades 2 years in a row. This has been a really hard year for everybody. I mean, for everybody, the lives lost, the people who become sick, the more than 500,000 Americans who died. But I will say, just having this opportunity to see different places in Racine and being led in many ways by our public health department to get people vaccinated, it gives me hope and it makes me excited. Alder Tate's analogy was exactly right. Let's not fall to the ground before we're safely there. Dr. Fauci's analogy was let's not give up at the 5-yard line before we get over to the touchdown. So vaccines are coming. It's great, but just to remind people, you still need to socially distance. You still need to wear a mask. We don't want to see what's happening in Europe, where people let up too soon and then cases returned. So, please, everybody keep doing their part, but we are optimistic about what the future holds, and just encourage everybody, when it is your turn and you are available and ready to take that vaccine, please take every opportunity to do that, because we need everybody to do their part. And so with that, I will go to Alder West and ask him to give us a motion to adjourn.
I had to find a mute button. Sorry about that. Move to
All right.
adjourn.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night. Good night.
Night.